Well, Americans keep getting poorer, but our lawmakers are getting richer. Take a look at this new analysis out from Roll Call this morning. Congress now has a combined net worth, are you ready for this, of $2 billion, nearly a 24% jump since 2008. I'm joined now by Roll Call investigative editor Paul Singer. Good to see you, Paul. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having us.
$2 billion, you say, grossly underestimates even what Congress may really be worth?
Yeah, that's a minimum. The $2 billion is a minimum. My guess is it's probably closer to $3 billion. But Congress is able to report in broad categories what they actually own. And in some cases, they can report, oh, it's worth more than $1 million. How much more than $1 million? We'll never know. So all we can do is tally up the minimum and say they're worth at least this much.
Who's richer, Republicans or Democrats?
It's funny, it doesn't break down by party except in the chambers. So the Senate, most of that money, like 80% of that money is Democratic money. In the House, about 80% of that money is Republican money. I don't know why.
Interesting. And how does Congress compare to the rest of us? Because we know there have been all these statistics coming out about Americans struggling and how the average income is going down.
They're doing better. Basically, they're doing better.
A lot better.
A lot better.
Yeah.
We found that when we did this assessment of congressional wealth 2 years ago, it was about 25% lower than it is now. So they've increased 25% overall wealth at least in 2 years. The average American household has not. Probably half that at best. And even the average member of Congress is worth somewhere in the range of $500,000, $700,000. The average American household is worth less than a quarter of that.
All right, so because we had that statistic up, 2010, $513,000 for this is the average member of Congress.
This is the member of Congress in the middle of the pack.
Okay, and about $100,000, the entire net worth of the average American family. Where's all this money coming from? I mean, are they mostly like businesses that they owned? Or?
Well, a lot of it is real estate, a lot of it is investments, a lot of them, of course, are smart and they marry well, they inherit well.
Let's talk about that, because the top three, third richest, John Kerry, is most of that money from the Heinz fortune?
Yeah, it's all from the Heinz fortune, and keep in mind, again, we think this wildly underestimates what he's actually worth. He doesn't have to disclose the true value of most of it, just sort of the minimum values.
And Darrell Issa, he's an inventor.
He's an inventor. He made a lot of money in the car alarm business, and now he's moved that money into real estate business, doing very, very well.
And the richest, worth almost, and this is again a minimum, almost $300 million, Representative Michael McCall of Texas.
Yeah, and he has shot up the list over the past 5 years. I mean, he used to be worth, we said, about $70 million. Now he's worth about, what, $290 million. He's inheriting large chunks of money from his father-in-law, the Clear Channel fortune.
Oh.
And so, again, marries well, inherits well. That's how a lot of these guys make their money.
You know, we often hear these stories, especially when new members of Congress come in, about 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 of them sharing an apartment. I mean, when you look at the average, there are members of Congress who don't have much money, who are struggling to travel back and forth. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you have to keep 2 homes, one in your district and one in D.C., and figure out how to live. But keep in mind, half these people are worth more than $1 million overall. And again, that doesn't even include the value of their own homes. There's a whole bunch of stuff they don't include in there. Half of them are millionaires. I'm not all that worried if they're bunking together in D.C.
And yet we're having this debate on whether we should charge people more taxes who make more than $1 million a year.
I don't get involved in that debate. I don't get involved in that debate. All I do is count the numbers.
Roll Call is Paul Singer, who is a diplomat as well as a numbers cruncher. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks. My pleasure, Chris.